and then create broadcast on the Twitter side. Okay, Twitter is going, I believe, which is good.
Cool.
And it says that YouTube is going as well. Awesome.
Wow,
So
sick.
this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a bunch of steps to jump through. Let me just tweet this out.
Amazing. Yeah, while talking to you, I'm going to be, along with my developer, manually posting all of those Tiger Bobs up for sale on Dutch
Are you
auction.
seriously doing this manual right now?
Yeah, Matt spent all day writing a script with the OpenSea API, and their stuff is just so shitty. It's
Yeah.
just shitty. And we would
For
have done it from the contract, but we didn't expect that we would mint out. So the contract is not written to, kind of accommodate some kind of auction or any kind of public sale.
right.
So this is kind of like the last resort that we have to try and get these out to folks. Um,
Well, let's
you
talk about all this. I want to get into this. But I want to start at the beginning for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure, for sure.
do you have the time to do this right now? Like, are you
Oh
actually
yeah,
clicking things and committing things to?
yeah. I'll be clicking things, but I'm here.
Okay, sweet.
It's like pretty
Uh,
automatic, so I'm not.
okay, good. Well, Gossamer, great to have you on the show. This is we chatted about doing this many like at least a couple months ago, and I got COVID and I was traveling to New York and a bunch of other stuff came up, and it was a real bummer that we never made it actually happen. But I'm stoked that this is actually a very special moment because you've launched, you've had a mint for TigerBob, and there are still some available that and it's because of some of the tech stuff. It's not because you couldn't have sold out in 2 seconds. So
Right.
we should explain. Well, let's start with the collection and talk about who you are as an artist, like your background, like all of that would be just great to hear.
For sure. Yeah, so I've been a fine artist for over 10 years, working professionally since 2008. I graduated from Mass College of Art in Boston in 2012. So I studied sculpture during my period there, which I know feels very strange from seeing all of my two-dimensional fine art pieces, but I'm always somebody who is looking to learn all different kinds of mediums and different art practices that I can kind of translate my own work into. And that has evolved into tattooing, like ceramics, just all different kinds of things, fashion design, and iterating on the kinds of pieces and the kinds of characters and world building I've been making since I was a teenager. It's just been an awesome journey, and it's really only recently that I was able to quit like having a day job and move into trying to try this thing full time. Tattooing was the thing that let me do that. So in the end of 2019, like in August, I finally quit my day job working about 7 years at a student loan servicing company. So it was like very financial and very customer service based, very different. Um, and I used a lot of the skills in business and things like that working there. I have a couple certificates in project management and introduction to business and corporate communications, which has helped a lot in trying to look into the future of what I'd like to build. So I did that, and then I started into tattooing full time. That was my thing. It was awesome. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
COVID hit. I had just moved to New York from northeastern Pennsylvania, where I grew up, since I was living kind of close to my parents, and that's where the servicing center was as well, which happened shortly after college. That's what I did because we were in a recession. There were no jobs, especially for artists. I built my way up. Finally got to a great place in that company. Also doing inclusion and diversity, a lot of advocacy. Um, I'd gone to DC to lobby for the Equality Act. I had done all kinds of really interesting, cool stuff, which was very exciting for me, and an amazing learning experience in how to kind of talk about my values and share that with others and communicate those types of things from a high level. So that was kind of what I've taken in from having a day job. And, COVID hit, and I was like, man, what am I gonna do? It was literally my first year, like not having a day job, trying to figure out finances, taxes. I just moved to a new place, so I had tons of expenses. It was risky, but I somehow made it. And now we're here. Um,
How did you
I
get involved in NFTs? What was your first kind of entry point into that world?
So I learned about NFTs after I started hearing a lot of chatter about the Beeple sale, the Grimes sale at the beginning of 2021, kind of like January, February. I also started seeing all the Reddit like stock stuff that was happening, which was hilarious. But that was the first time that I kind of jumped into like actually learning about the investing side of things and trying to take a couple risks. At this point I was like, it's the pandemic. I'm like, what else am I going to try and do? Like at some point you have to make some risks in order to make take some chances at something that's greater.
Yeah.
And when I learned about specifically NFTs, I was like, it just immediately clicked to me. I'm like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. I've been posting my art online since 2005, since I was 15, drawing comics, sharing my work, and I don't own that content. Like, I have not owned my content until now, which is
Hmm.
insane. Even if I'm making pieces that are physical, even if I'm making pieces that are that are on paper, 3D, it doesn't matter. You take a photograph of that, you scan that in, it's digitalized. And that's what you present. Like we don't do this thing anymore where you have an archive of slide images that you take to a gallery and you present them and that's your portfolio. It's not like that anymore. That's just not how the world works anymore. And being able to now be empowered to deliver my artwork to a greater number of people and also have ownership of that and also be able to monetize and make sales and communities around that work because of the interactions directly with my customers, it's just been such an incredible experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's your story is one, in terms of these artists having this aha moment. I've had that happen a lot on the podcast where people are like, "Wow, I saw it and I immediately knew this is my future," right? And
Mhm.
it's so awesome. I'm curious, what was the very first NFT that you launched, and have you worked on other big projects?
So my very first NFT. So at the time I was still trying to tattoo full time. That was like my main source of income. So I couldn't spend too much time on other pieces of art with the risk of not knowing if it would sell. So I took some risks and started on a foundation because that was what people were doing in March, I guess. And I dropped a piece, and it was like this pigeon, and it was like also like this digital piece with like kind of stacked like pieces of other imagery in the background and in the foreground. I do a lot of stacking in my work for perspective and also to incorporate other elements to kind of tell a story. That's just really common and a really common way for me to kind of tell a story in like one image or a multiple image, which I was inspired greatly by a lot of pop art, but also a lot of Asian art with a lot of the stacking methods of showing a large picture in a smaller picture in like different perspectives. So that was kind of what that image looked like. And I don't know, I could probably link it to you at some point. I don't know if you want to do that. It's not a big deal. We don't have to.
Yeah, it's
Um,
on Foundation. I'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'll get you all this stuff later. But yeah, so essentially that was my first piece, and I just started it, myself on paper and put it up there. It took a long time to sell. It was really hard to get found. I feel like everybody had no choice but to like shill to each other because we didn't have these tight knit communities that we have now, where people are known or are like little hubs that you can kind of get into. I know that there were probably discords at the time, but it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. I know sophisticated
Hmm.
is like we say that because it's Discord, but like it's still more organized than it was back in the day,
Yeah.
where all you had was shilling your work under a fake shill post where somebody had a screenshot of I have 987,000 ETH to sell and like to buy things. Like it's like that kind of post. Um, And so I had that piece kind of hanging out, and then I started dropping a couple collectible pieces on Rareable. I noticed that people were making these collectible things. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this collectible, and how do I compare that to the work that I've created in the past? And for me, it was immediately like, okay, I understand like baseball cards, collectible like the vinyl toys that are collectible. You know, it's kind of like they're iterations, and they're kind of similar to each other but different. And so I was like, okay, let me try that with, you know, these tiger designs, which I've been tattooing forever. And so I dropped the Squishin' Kitties. There's only 8 of them. And it took me a while to finish the collection because they really were not selling. And my first sale was from one of those editions that I think I sold for 0.07 ETH, which is not that bad considering how hard it was to do anything when you're nobody. And then shortly after that, my foundation piece sold, and I sold it for like point 0.2 or something ETH, which I think was like $400 at the time, and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy!"
Like it's
But
working.
also, but also the price of ETH was also not the price of ETH. The price of gas was also kind of insane at that time too. It was like $70 or $80 just to list it, just to, you know, just to do certain things on foundation, and then the 15% was hard, and it was just like at a certain point I couldn't afford to continue minting on ETH. And that kind of got a little solidified in like May when like ETH kind of did a little crash. And also gas was like it was like $300 at some point or something, which was like crazy, I think. I had also recently got hacked, which sucked. Thankfully I didn't lose like as much money as like, you know, it could have been worse is all I can say. And the community pitched in to help out, but I mean, you make that mistake, you never make it again, you know?
Yeah.
And so I recovered from that quickly, and I knew that Tezos was happening. I'm here in New York City, and it's very limited to get Tezos here. It's actually like it's just crazy the like the weird restrictions, like specifically in the city, not just the state. And because of my location, it's just been rough trying to even get my hand on it. And at a certain point, I had to like send ETH to a friend and like swap it and stuff like that, which is like not the greatest and most convenient situation. But I started making the Tez tattoo collection um, on like Hick and Nook when at the time when it was up. It's still there. I think the last piece I made was probably around like October of last year ish, no, October November. But I did make a bunch of pieces, and it was an interesting way for me to experiment with with collectibles. And it was also lower risk for me because I was using artwork in my directly that was, you know, images in my tattoo flash that I would tattoo on folks. However, the Tez tattoo collection didn't give people like the rights to get that art tattooed. Like you were just buying like the artwork and just
Right.
having something you could appreciate. And so I like experimented with like editions with like one of ones, and it was interesting. I learned a lot, and I was really excited that, you know, people were starting to see like the value of my work and like recognizing my style, and like, and that was really exciting. And I'm
Would you
glad that
say Hin was the first time where it was like, wow, this is really I'm starting as an artist. I'm really starting to pick
yeah.
up and gain momentum and
Mm-hmm.
becoming more of a household name in that ecosystem?
Right. I didn't think I was like a household name on Hen per se, but as far as like people having awareness of my art style, which was key, regardless of where I was selling or what I was selling, people started to become more aware of what I had to offer, which was like the goal. And I was really glad that I could do that with that collection. Um, and then I had worked a little bit on the Ramo project, which you know a little bit about, which is focused on my African heritage. They're
Hmm.
actually based on real artifacts from Ghana. I have one here, actually.
Wow.
They're very small, and they're made out of bronze. And so this one is actually I purchased from a gallery, and you know, to study and to draw, and the unique shapes of them are interesting for me to to translate into my art style because they're made from the lost wax method, which is a sculpture method with bronze casting where you make the small sculpture in wax. So
I've
they
done this before actually, and then you
yeah,
melt it out, right? You cast it, and then you melt up the wax,
mhm,
and then you pour in the metal
you pour in the
afterwards, right?
metal. When you
Yeah.
pour in the metal, the wax burns out of the sand casting. It's a really interesting and also very ancient technique, and it's incredible how detailed these little gold weights became, and they absolutely had a very financial purpose, which is really interesting, which is another reason why I liked making it into an NFT, was because it was something that um, really connected to both my heritage, and since these objects, these unique fungible objects, because no two were the same, they had different weights, they had different designs, values, um, they were used to weigh gold dust, and gold dust was the currency. And so it was really interesting to work with, this really ancient financial system and bring it into NFTs in a way that is true to celebrating my own heritage.
It's beautiful. That's great.
Thank you. And the project it was intended to be my utility token. People were like, when utility, like all summer last year, I think, especially after Bored Apes came out. I totally missed that. I had no money for it, especially after Cool Cats came out. Um, and it was just like, all right, well, I'll be very intentional about a collection that has utility. And I built a lot of long-term game mechanics for it. So this is an inflationary that the Ramos are created because they're all one of a kind pieces, but the gold dust mechanic is deflationary. So there's these two pieces of this puzzle that work together, and it's really not something that you're going to get a quick flip, in my opinion, because I make them one at a time. I make them at my own pace. And it was interesting to see for the first time the value of those types of pieces, especially gold dust, because it's an airdrop only qualified for folks who have collected a certain amount of Ramos and have won this airdrop of this gold dust box, which is, and so every week those people who hold that token get gold dust airdrop to them.
Hmm.
So when we had the allow list for TigerBob, both Gold Dust and Ramos were eligible for an automatic allow list spot.
Wow.
And it was not me who sold any Gold Dust. It was all completely up to the holders if they were going to hold on to them or sell them or not. And we saw a lot of price action on that because of it, which was very interesting.
This is so cool. I didn't know when we went this deep with you. That's amazing. When did you get involved with Woodies? Because you were one of the lead artists on the Woodies NFT project.
hmm So for Woodies, I'm part of Ultra DAO, and that started at like kind of the end of June, July-ish. I didn't know what a DAO was or anything, but I was like, all my friends are here, so I'll just chill out and we'll figure it out as we go. And so I learned that we were kind of like making jokes about starting a 10K just because everybody was making a 10K. Like it was like the summer of NFTs, right? And so we actually ended up like starting to like slowly organize it. I had submitted some concept art, and so did a lot of other people in the DAO. And we ended up going with my colleague Jay's kind of like Pinocchio-esque wooden like doll characters, which I thought was perfect. And so at that point, I wasn't like a part of the project or anything. Like I wasn't like a lead or anything. But then there were asks for things like a logo. There were asks for like background art for the website, and I ended up drawing those, and we used them. And I was just like, awesome! Like I designed the logo. Like that mark is like something I made by hand. And and then as we started going through and making, I know Jay and Luke were like making the 10K portion, and they had the basis down for a lot of the traits, but we needed a lot more organization and a lot more traits to build on to really make the collection something that could be robust as a 10K. So I kind of ended up taking the lead on that since I have a lot of project management experience. I have not personally made a 10K before that point, but I was like, I'm going to figure it out. I think that we need a lot more traits than just like 100 or 200. And then I ended up going so hard that we ended up having like 900 traits.
Wow, that's insanity.
It was crazy. I can't skimp out on quality. Like I just can't. Like it's just
Yeah,
impossible for me.
I gotta say that one thing I've always admired about your work is to the point of not being able to skip out on quality, and also just like the creative nature that you apply to everything that you do. When you did the Grails project with us at Proof, and you made this animated dragon that was like made in Google Sheets, which was just insanity. I like that's so crazy that you decided to use Google Sheets as like your artist brush. Like no one animates or builds in Google Sheets. Like that was fantastic.
Thank you. I
It
mean,
just
they just like at the end of the day, I think that you shouldn't be limited to tools or to any kind of special equipment or any kind of special technique. I'm like, well, we'll just figure it out. I'm a sculpture major. We can figure this out. Like it was just like make stuff out of trash and that's an art piece. Bullshit your way to like convincing people that it has some kind of concept or meaning. Of course, I don't go that far. You know, my pieces, like you can see the time and attention I put in them.
yeah.
Um, but you know, you make it that I feel like as an from going to art school and from being, I guess, just the kind of person I am, like you learn how to adapt and you learn how to use your creativity beyond just what your tool set is. You're able to adapt to all different kinds of situations and find opportunities in all kinds of ways. And that's how I felt about Google Sheets. You know, in my past job, I had to do a lot of stuff in Excel and I had to make a lot of presentations of data as well. And I ended up having a lot of fun making those presentations of really boring data like look beautiful and easy to read from a graphic design perspective.
Hmm.
And that kind of, made me feel like I really enjoy working in Excel from an artistic standpoint. And so that's why I was like, you know what? I have this idea. I really love ASCII art. I don't know anything about coding though. I don't know how to do it like the way that you're supposed to do it. So I'm just going to do it however I think I should do it. And that's what ended up happening.
So cool. I don't want to miss out on something very special that's happening right now, and that is that you have released TigerBob. You had some remaining mints that didn't get minted, and it was because there was some breakdown in like the way that you notified people, and there was a bunch of because you were insanely oversubscribed. I even offered to buy some mints off you, and you're like, no, 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 I can't do that. Like, I have a dedicated list of people that are eligible for these. But you're doing a live Dutch auction right now. Is that live now?
Yes, let me check because I was supposed to help my developer put them up, but it looks like Matt's doing an awesome job just taking care of it. So let me get to
Because
that
people are
link.
tuned into this live, how can we find out what's going on and just watch the live auction? I'd love to have that going in the background.
Yeah, maybe I can share my screen a little bit. Let me see, 1 second. Just gonna get to the collection page. My collections.
I'll see if you might have tweeted it out from the Tiger Bob account. I'm not, maybe there's a URL there. I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out how we can point people.
it's just the link to the OpenSea collection because I mean you just filter by what's
Okay.
on auction. There,
Oh,
it's
there we
like
go.
yeah, it's like not very like special or anything. Again, like we couldn't do it from um, from the mint page because we honestly did not expect that we wouldn't mint out from having, obviously like all 1,000 were accounted for and then we had 100 people who was kind of like the wait list. So that was the part that was oversubscribed was the wait list. In the event we had like, a handful of Tiger Bobs to mint out. But I think that a combination of the market crashing, possibly people fully exiting from ETH just to pay bills. It's the end of the month. People have to pay rent. Things like that. Other projects dropping. Who knows? There could
But
be
you
all.
had a massive amount of people want to. I mean, I've seen so many people that were bummed that they didn't get into this allow list. I feel like it was just like that they didn't get a slot, so they didn't think they were eligible, right? They didn't think there was any other way to get them other than buy them off the secondary. Because already in secondary sales, to give you a sense of demand, you haven't even fully minted out yet, but you've had close to 1,000 ETH in secondary sales, right? It's
Yeah,
something
it's
crazy.
it's bonkers.
Yeah, so the demand is there. They just can't get on the allow list. Like there's there's that seems like that's the issue, right? Like that you didn't have enough people on the allow list.
We actually, so just to clarify, we did have enough people on the allow list. We just were not expecting the allow list to not mint as much as it did. And I think that that is because we saw the amount of hype. Like the page got to 150,000 followers without any like advertising. There's no grinding to get spots. It was all just a raffle, and there were over 111,000 entries in pre-mint that we had to sort through. We have from day one been really determined to ensure that we had a fair system for people, real people, to get these.
Yeah, I
We,
appreciate that. I know you
yeah,
even worked with who was it, the third party
with Flipside, yeah.
yeah, Flipside Crypto, who a fantastic team that
Yep.
analyzed your data to make sure there wasn't additional spam and whatnot.
Yeah, they helped us really pare that down quite a bit. And then the rest of it was a lot of manual review, a lot of data review, and just finding trends and like identifying red flags and stuff. And we spent a hundred hours or more just doing that. That was
So
crazy.
let's point people to find this auction because I haven't found it myself. I went to the collection and then I clicked on the left hand side of the screen on auction, and I
Yeah, I'm
see
not
two
sure why
listings
you're not.
there.
Yeah, I saw that too. Let me ask my team. Let's see.
Yeah, there's these are just gonna fly once you get people the right URL. I have a feeling, because already the floor price is 2.575,
Yeah.
and you have minted. Let's see, the website doesn't say. I think there's like 100 left or something, right?
Maybe. Yeah, there's about 120 that we put on auction. I'm just trying to see why they're not showing up. I'm going from high to low and seeing if maybe I can see it there. Oh, here they are. So
All right.
you pretty much, so it doesn't show that they are on auction for some reason on OpenSea. I don't know if OpenSea is slow, but they
Hmm.
are on, they are like kind of like in the middle of the mix of secondary. And you can, here's an example of one that is trickling down. Should I send it in the chat over here?
Yeah, just I'm curious. What are the filters that you applied? Did you click buy now? What did you click to be able
I
to
only looked
find?
at I only looked at buy now, but I don't see a way to see specifically declining balance the auction DA. I only see a filter for auctions that are like a regular English auction, so I think that's something on OpenSea's end for not having a category for it.
Hmm. Interesting. So
So
in
it shows in buy now, which is
okay,
weird because that also includes everything that is on secondary.
okay. So to give people a sense of what you're trying to pull off right now live, is you had 100 and some ish that are available, and you said I'm going to do a Dutch auction right now down to 1 ETH, which is well below floor.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a sense that you were going to start at what 4.5? Is that right?
Yep.
And
It
so
started them at 4.2.
4.2. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're at right now?
It looks like, well, let's look at the one that I just sent because I know that that one is declining. And I'm pretty bummed that um, there isn't a category for this on OpenSea. But so people will have to see. But you can see the
Oh, I
list.
see. Owned by TigerBob NFT team. That would be the
Right.
account to sort by.
Well, I guess you know what? I guess people can just go to that account, and those are all the ones that are declining. Let's. I'm going to
Okay.
tweet that out instead
Yeah,
because
that's the one to.
OpenSea isn't working with sifting through. So I'm going to tweet that out
Yeah.
as
So
well. I didn't realize it would look like that.
so to give everyone a sense of if they're watching this live and you're curious to follow along, if you follow at TigerBob NFT on Twitter, she's about to tweet out the URL. And the OpenSea account name is TigerBob NFT underscore team. And if you go there, you will see that that account holds 122 Tiger Bobs, and they are decreasing in value. It looks like they're all around 3 point. Depends on when they were listed here. Let's see if I can sort by let's see by low to high. The most recent one is at 2.9 ETH, and it's falling. It looks like 17 minutes until it ends, and it ends at 1. Is that right? Well, actually, it ends until there's a bid, and then it goes back up again, right? If there's a bid. Okay, I see what you did here. You listed at 4.2, decreasing to 1 ETH. 12 minutes ago is one of those listings. So in
Mm-hmm.
theory, there's 100 and some of these that could go for under below the floor right now
Right,
in the
right.
next like 15 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
So people should go, and you haven't done the reveal yet, which is cool. So,
Yep.
and in full disclosure, I did receive one, not from your team, but because I held one of your grails, which I was eligible for one, so I paid the full mint price for that. And then I did buy some off the secondary market. I never received anything from you in any form or fashion for this podcast. I want to let people know that we're doing this clean. So
Yeah, this is
um,
not, there's like no extra alpha or like secrets that are being revealed.
yeah, so there's none of these have been revealed yet. And then when does the reveal actually happen? Because like I see them all kind of dancing around and getting ready to reveal. When do we actually get to see what our Tiger Bob looks like?
So we're hoping to reveal them tonight after these auctions conclude. It's just such a big bummer that OpenSea has a really shitty auction like like system for Dutch auctions specifically. But it is happening.
You know, I got to say, for as much as people have a hard time with OpenSea, um, I have been really. I feel very fortunate that they helped me take down a lot of fake accounts. I
They
don't. Have
do.
they done that with you at all?
I've had so many pieces infringed, and it's been we have a pretty robust legal team behind the brand, and we're really trying to protect this IP as much as we can, and they are pretty good about taking things down. But yeah, it's been a little slow this weekend, but yeah, it's been a lot of infringement, but they are the most helpful when it comes to the exchanges that are available.
It was so crazy, Gossamer. I know that you and I chatted over text, and I saw that someone had bought a Google ad with your collection name so they could outrank your collection
I
and point
know.
to a fake website to get people to mint a fake project. And it
Yeah,
might have stolen people's NFTs. I don't even know what it all did.
yeah, that's a DMCA request that my team is writing so many letters right now.
It's so tough. I'm in the same
It's
boat. You know,
tough.
we're
Like, um, I mean, they prepped me. I knew that going into this, it was gonna be rough, and it was
it's
gonna
so
be
rough.
a struggle. But there's when you have a brand and you're building something important, if you don't protect it yourself, then the court's not going to protect you either.
Yeah,
So
people don't
you have
realize
to
that.
be proactive
Yeah,
about taking these things down, because if you don't show that you take things down, then the court will not protect you because they'll
it's.
see. Mhm.
Did you listen to my podcast by the way, or my little update on Moonbirds? You've probably been too
I
busy.
did. I no, I did listen to
Okay,
that very briefly.
because
Uh,
you know that that's a common thing that most people don't know. Because how would you, unless you deal with trademark law? But if you don't go after the people that are violating you, then it just becomes open and free for all for everyone. And
right.
that's the one thing. And you know it's tough because the Moonbird stuff. We have some people doing very legitimate things that are like beautiful like derivative type projects that are awesome. And then we have some people that are just doing straight up scams, and then we have somewhere in between, right? So it's like
I
it's a
know. I
full time job just to try and figure all this stuff out. It's a lot, but we're very fortunate to even be in that position, right? Like that means you're doing something right, and
exactly.
people are trying to clone you.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's yeah, I understand now why big brands have like a giant,
Massive team.
massive team who just scour the internet all day
Yes,
looking for these infringement and just taking them down. Because I mean, it's really like a full time job to do that. And it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm also like helping slowly put these all up. So it might take a while, but these auctions will be concluded, and then at some point tonight we will be able to push that reveal. It's bummed that it's like so slow. We were so like hoping for um we were so hoping for a the script that my developer worked did to work, and I'm not surprised that it broke. And like obviously we would not want to do this so manually. Like if we knew that this was going to be a possibility, we would have built it into the contract.
For sure.
But we
But on the
really,
bright side, you really, I know it sucks in that you're not getting, it's not as clean as you wanted, but at the same
Mhm.
in the same like breath, like you didn't end up with a gas war. It could have been way worse. When you have 100,000 people trying to get 1,000 NFTs, like you could have wasted millions of dollars in gas, and
I
instead you
know.
really
It's
took the
like
time.
that was like one of the main things we like were very intentional about preventing. And that's why we didn't oversubscribe our wait list more than we did. I it's just it's so incredibly fortunate that everybody on the wait list did get to mint. I think that's amazing because when we announced everything, we're like, hey, this is not guaranteed that you will get this piece. But I'm so glad that everybody who did mint really had their chance to get a piece at the price that we had originally set, and that really makes me feel really good, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I did realize, you know, if I am going to have a gas war, let me at least make it contained to a small number of people who really understand. Like, listen, this is your risk, and you know we won't have control if you lose gas and if your transaction doesn't go through, but we will do our best, and that's why we made our wait list only 100 people. I mean, now I realize we probably should have made it like 500 people, but you know, for a collection this small, we and with the amount of hype we had, with the amount of pre-mint entries we had, with the amount of Twitter followers and the amount of just physical support, there's like 28,000 people in our Discord. Like we didn't think that
Wow.
this would be the case. I mean, with
Wow.
all those numbers, like you think like you know, it's not something you would bank for
Yeah. Well,
at all.
congratulations on all the success of this. I mean, even so far, it's been amazing. The artwork is just absolutely so awesome. Like I literally, when I got, I think I have like 8 of them now or something like that. I'm going to get one of them tattooed. It would be on my honor if you would
Yes.
do it on me. That would be so
I
awesome.
would love to tattoo it on you. I also ensured, I worked it out with my legal team that anybody who does own a Tiger Bob is able to go to their local artist to get it tattooed. Just this Tiger Bob, if you own it. I wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to get it tattooed on themselves. And I really don't make that exception like ever with my work because I am myself a tattoo artist and I would prefer to tattoo my own work.
Yeah.
It also takes work away from me and away from my portfolio if I don't have the opportunity to use my own work the way it's intended, and that's why I'm always really firm on being able to have the opportunity to tattoo my own work because tattoo is art, so it's part of my art practice, and it's not just a job for me. It's something that adds to my portfolio, and it's something that is an interesting and really powerful connection between myself and my client. And that's why I'm always very adamant about if you want to get a tattoo like from me, don't steal my work. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm tattooing something very special, and my work is intended to be tattoos. It's going to be a tattoo, because the people's bodies is just so interesting. Having tattoos as a medium and working in that kind of in that kind of scenario, which makes me really happy. So really glad that I'm able to make some small exceptions for the Tiger Bobs that you own.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can I ask you just one last question around this, and then I'll let you get back at it because I know you got a lot on your mind right now with this live auction counting
Yeah,
down.
I'm like constantly, I'm like talking to you and also trying to list them
No,
because
this
it's
is
like
all good. This is
insane.
well. I'll just have one last final question then.
For sure.
Have you thought about like what does this mean to you as a project in terms of you got this brand new, really exciting community that's coming in? You know, is this like your proof collected pass? Like for me, like that was like, okay, this is my core, this is my team that supported me since day one. I'm gonna go and build on top of this and expand out, and everything that I do, they will always, pay back up to this initial group of 1,000 people. How do you
Mhm.
think of this group of people that are owning this? Like, is this just like, and this can the answer can be yes. Like, if this is just purely for the art, you're collecting it, it's beautiful, it's your PFP, that's awesome. But of course, you already mentioned it earlier, the common question of when utility. Like, is this going to be something that you extend into other unique ways going forward?
So yes, the Tiger Bob Genesis pieces it really is the landmark brand of brand piece. It's going to be the iconic thing that is going to be recognizable in merchandise and in all kinds of clothing and applications, in gaming and world building. And I've made these tigers the center of that world. And this world has already been well established. I mean, I've been making comics and things forever. But I feel like the tigers are a very excellent, easy to digest anchor point for entering that world. It's something that you don't have to look that far into, but if you do look into it, you will also be rewarded with more detail, more story, more arcane, kind of awesome, interesting stuff that I love to explore. I mean, if you see behind me, I have tons of like antique textiles, tons of books, tons of all kinds of artwork, and I've been studying these things for so long, and just been interested in all kinds of things. So I'm just really excited. Finally, had that aha moment where this is the item, this is the image that can bring everything together, if that makes
I
sense.
love it. Absolutely. It's such fun work, and it is beautiful, and it's like I could see this on a variety of different applications. Like it's fun enough to just be your PFP, but it's also something that you could blow up and have on like in a frame in your house, right? Like it's
Right,
just
right.
it's so cool.
And that's
Well,
definitely the goal. I mean, I'm going to be making lots more Tiger Bob related artwork. I'm going to be making a Tiger Bob that is in the same style as Iteration Zero for NFT NYC. So that piece will be for sale during that time period. So we're going to have Iteration 1 debut for NFT NYC, which is going to be very special and interesting.
is this an open edition, or what is this going to be?
It's probably going to be a limited edition. We'll have to see. They have like specific parameters for offerings of how you can sell the work, but I'll have to see what will make sense for the project. It's going to be like a small edition though, I think.
Awesome. Gossamer, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a pleasure. It's always great to see you. I always have fun when we hang out in real life, and
I know it's always such a it's just chill chatting whenever we're together. I love it. It's so fun. Thanks so much for putting this together. It's so impromptu, but if it's so appropriate and it just feels right. So I'm glad we got to do this today.
it's so funny that I just text you. I'm like, "Do you want to do something live, like in like a few hours?" And you're like, "Yeah, let's do
Let's
that." And we
go.
just, yeah, it's
It's
great. So
perfect. I'm so
awesome,
bummed that we can't show the reveal live, but you'll post it when you see your piece.
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited to see everybody. This project, I haven't even shown like 70% of what this is.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
That's why I'm like, you guys are not ready. Like, the rarity and everything about it is like something that's not been seen before. And
Oh,
I'm very, very excited to talk about the traits and the story behind everything about it.
well, I'd love to have you. Well, we should have you come back on and do that particular interview and go back into the
Yeah,
trait
yeah, for
level.
sure.
But also, let's hang at NFT NYC. Come out to the
Yeah,
Moonbirds party, and
for
let's
sure.
have it. It's on the 21st.
Yeah,
So
I will be there. I am triple booked already, which is insane. But I will try to be there.
yeah, I mean,
Out
if you could swing by
closer.
for 45 minutes or something,
Yeah,
just say
I'll
hi
be
to
there like
everybody. And
more so in the evening. We're also doing a big event with Woodies that same evening. We're going to be debuting a really big, cool thing that I can't really talk about yet, but that's going to be awesome. So there's going
I
to be a lot going on.
I love that. I'm a Woody's collector as well. So
Right, right,
partially because of your involvement. So
right.
I'm
Yeah.
excited
Thank you.
to see what you all unveil.
We're building all over the place.
Very
All right.
cool.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
All right, Gossamer. Have a great night.
You too.
Congratulations again. Talk
Thank
soon.
you.